Welcome everyone to another episode of TopstepTV, the London session. If you're new here, hi, I'm Mark Stoker D, aka Deeyana Angelo. I'm a Series 3 qualified futures trader. I do have a short RBOB, but I also have Coach Ray here with us today. Ray, how are you doing today? Tell people who you are, what you do,
Yeah,
introduce
absolutely.
yourself.
Yeah, I'm Coach Ray. I'm one of Topstep's performance coaches, also a funded trader, and I guess looking forward to an excellent 2025.
That's brilliant. Yeah. So you've had one of the longest live accounts in Topstep.
Yes, yes,
Yeah. It's like
that's my
coming into
claim
a
to fame.
fifth
My claim to
year.
fame. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
there are different measures that people go by. You have the people who are sizing up like lunatics, and they're like, "I'm on the big board." But I think it's actually more important the longevity of how
Mhm.
long you're having the account. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think I think I get a sign of discipline. Treating it as kind of like a business. I think oftentimes I feel like we treat trading as kind of like a casino,
Yeah,
I guess.
video game. Yeah,
Yeah, video game. Yeah. So I think longevity does play into this. I think often traders look at this as a get rich quick, kind of opportunity,
yeah,
and oftentimes, that as a result they focus too much on the equity and not enough on their processes that lead to that equity.
yeah.
So I think that's kind of where we need to focus our attention on the process, and the equity will then, if we do the process as well, it'll lead to the equity that we desire. So
Yeah, so it's process over profits. It's something
mhm.
that all of us here at Topstep always preach. And I think the biggest reason for blowing up XFAs and accounts in general is sizing up. Like
Yeah,
that's one common thing with everybody. All right, so let me just talk through what I'm seeing here and why I'm in this early trade on RBOB. RBOB is gasoline futures.
hmm
It's a short. I always have to use Google for this, but it's a short. Stands for reformulated blend stock for oxygenate blending. It's a very catchy name.
yes,
But yeah, we all call it RBOB. Basically, it's a special version of gasoline, and it's very, very similar to crude oil, except it has a much, much bigger range. So in a way, it's kind of like crude oil used to be back in the day. I've moved away from trading crude oil every day. I've only done like 2 trades on it this month. And I've been focusing mainly on RBOB and then a bit of equities towards the end of the day on this Topstep account. So we'll see whether we can actually get some traction. But what I saw this morning very early is that crude oil actually tried to get up to the London value low, which is located at 75.69. And then it had trouble. Now, around about the same area, we have a gamma exposure level 2, which is a pretty strong level. So gamma 2, GEX 1 and GEX 2 and GEX 3 tend to be a little bit difficult to break through, and they tend to be levels where market makers will get involved. So this is what we're seeing here. Now, I don't know whether I'm going to hold it all the way down to 208, but for now we're seeing some traction, so I'm going to see what happens around VWAP, which is 209.20 ballpark. So if we can have some more weakness through that, that would be great. But if we don't, I'll probably just take it off. I know that you also trade crude oil.
yeah.
Are you still trading crude oil? Like, what
You
is
know,
your focus these days?
it's funny. It's funny as you mentioned that. I mean, I've actually, and then I just kind of natural. I don't really, go into the market with any focus, but I'm actually getting more trades out of gold
Ah,
uh,
yeah,
of late than crude oil, and maybe because it's natural. It's the first market that opens.
yeah.
Um, so that's kind of where I end up. Is I end up taking trades in gold as a result, and crude oil I just don't trade as often.
Yeah, exactly. I'm of the same opinion. I think during the inauguration, I saw two range trade opportunities. So I longed it on one side for 35 ticks, longed it on the other for about 30, and that was my day. I mean, I didn't really do much. And if you're looking for like big profits in crude oil today, or these days, especially in the last sort of 10 months or so, I don't think that's the right product anymore, sadly.
Mm.
It's extremely difficult to get a NYMEX session that gets above anything over 120 ticks. And for me, that's too thin. That's like such a tight range. So by the time that you get into a trade, there's just no follow through these days. And if you
Right.
get follow through, it's like 20 to 36. It's like whoopee. And yeah, I've just moved away. And we have a couple of questions here. Someone says, how do you even discover the RBOB? Actually, bizarrely enough, it was TopstepTV. One of the chat users named Kevy. And, I remember everybody's names, and especially when they give me a good product, right? So
Yes.
Kevy suggested, he said, have you looked at RBOB? And I was like, what the hell is RBOB? I
Mm.
was exactly like you guys. Even though I've been trading the energies market, it's just not a product that's talked about much. It's available on NYMEX, but if you see the dome, it's very patchy. So it's a thin market. It's not illiquid because it obviously moves like 400 or 500 ticks per day, but it is definitely a different name of the game. And obviously this is a live account. So when you are getting involved, it's always good to have some sort of orders in and around there. So rather than executing a trade where there's no orders, I try to see where the orders are, because they have to do the order matching on the exchange. And if you don't have anybody to take your order, you're going to click, and then there's going to be a wait time. There's just like nothing happening until the next price arrives, either up or down, where they can do the order matching. So that is one thing you have to really pay attention to whenever you're trading something like RBOB or even Nikkei. Nikkei can get pretty thin. It looks very similar to this. Even during the overnight session, whenever I look at it, I'm just like, okay, great. But yeah, it doesn't really cause that many problems, because what happens is once you're in, they will sort of skip through the areas that don't have any orders and go to the ones that have the orders. So in a way, that's why you get these quicker moves that seem like they kind of teleport to the new price. And, I love it. It's, I found pretty nice success with it. And obviously we have that follow through, we have the big ticks. And I like to generally take between 100 to 180 ticks in RBOB on average. So I look for bigger trades, and obviously the bigger stop losses have to be taken into account. The good thing is that it's a bit cheaper than crude oil. So RBOB is actually $4.20 per tick, whereas crude oil is still $10 per tick. So it's pretty,
Yeah.
pretty expensive. Is there anything you're looking at this morning, maybe on gold?
I was just kind of taking a peek here, and I was kind of looking at your short, and I was thinking more while it's coming into VWAP. I was thinking
Yeah.
actually the other direction, but
Oh, okay. Ooh,
yeah,
all right. Well,
but
we'll see. Like I said, VWAP is my point of reference here. If we can't
oh,
break
okay,
it, then I'll just close it out wherever this is, hopefully for like break even or maybe a small profit or
yeah,
a small loss. So there's no guarantees at this time of the day that this is just going to continue to fall.
right,
Like, it's not unheard of. I just went into this because I saw some good levels. And I mean, for now, it's trying to create a bearish engulfing, but it's still very early. Obviously,
yeah,
we have like 19 minutes until the next TPO close. So yeah, let's take some questions. I see somebody is asking about gold today. So maybe, Ray, you can
yeah.
just
I'll
run us
take a
through
peek
some
at gold here
levels.
and
Yeah.
see. Yep. Let's see here.
Maybe top-down approach, all of that jazz, just to get a good overview.
Okay, let's see what's going on with gold. I have to change my initial balance indicator here
Yeah.
because I have it set to
COMEX, yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I feel your pain.
All right, should work. All right, well, getting a nice little extension here away from initial balance, so that's speaks well to short. I'm just trying to kind of get my bearings here a little bit and see. This orange line is my 233-day EMA. So I'm always a little hesitant, as you can see, right, going into a short right against that, because you can see this area here that's offered actually reversals.
Yeah.
It's kind of a reversal zone.
Yeah,
So
and we are in a long uptrend as well. Like it's
yeah,
been
yeah.
going
So
for
we might
quite
be
a
better
while.
served here in a potential long, 3-bar reversal back around this level,
Yeah, it can
27.44,
happen. It can
27.45.
happen because London likes to make one big move and then it
Uh-huh.
stops to like a screeching halt for a bit, and then it
Mhm.
usually reverses into the overlap. But
Yeah,
anything can happen, obviously. However, looking at how it reacted, it's still an uptrend. Yeah, that could be a long maybe.
yeah.
Let's be
So that's kind of what
contrarian.
I'm seeing there in gold.
Yeah, interesting.
Where's my VWAP? Oh, it's below.
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull up a gold chart because that wasn't exactly on my radar today. Whoa, yeah, there's a big move, isn't it?
Yeah,
Christ.
it just
Yeah.
dropped.
Yeah, that is a big move.
Yeah,
Was there any news or something? Let me check financial juice here for a second.
yeah. Volume delta also shows quite a bit of volume in that direction.
Yeah, just wonder. Yeah, we did have some NATO chief comments that he's very happy with Trump's sanctions threat on Russia. So maybe that was it. Maybe that's
Maybe.
what caused it. Any kind of headline risk can bring a massive move. So
Yeah,
yeah, he's apparently very happy with that. Right.
yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. Maybe that's a little bit of an overreaction,
Yeah. Yeah.
and now it's kind of got to a point, and maybe the buyer's going to use this as an opportunity to pick up some more. I'm not sure, but
Yeah, maybe because these kind of headline risk, unless it's an actual change in whatever is happening, it tends
mhm.
to kind of get the focus when the speech and when the comment comes out, and then throughout the course of the day it sort of peters out,
Right.
and they're like, oh yeah, what did he say? We don't know. Let's go back the other way because we're in an
Yeah,
uptrend. So maybe
exactly.
that's definitely one hypothesis to keep in mind.
Yeah,
That reversal, if it continues, it continues. I have the average session range low from a 40-day average around 2745.5, and that's just London specific, and it's a shortened London session because I don't want to pollute it with different players. So I cut it
yeah. So
off. Yeah.
I have it at a daily. This is a daily level, so
Whoa.
it's
So what
reacting
is
away.
that?
This is
What's the level?
let's see, what price is that? 2748.7.
Yeah, so that's very similar. Yeah.
Yeah,
So multiple confluences around those areas. Maybe a
yeah,
little dip down again, and then let's see if it kind of consolidates and tries to reverse. That
yeah,
could be one approach.
yeah.
All right, that's good. Let's
Keep
have
an
a
eye on
look at
that.
some questions. Yeah, go. Go. Yeah, yeah, you were going to say something.
No, I just gonna keep an eye on this. That's all. That's all.
Okay, so keeping an eye on gold, potential
Yes,
longs, hypo.
yes,
Okay. Let's see. Trade Life Lex says, D, why RBOB? I find it difficult to trade something so thin, but it does move. Well, RBOB, because it's got a bigger range, right? And it's faster. Like crude oil, if we compare, let me just do my measuring tools. If we compare the drop just in the last this 30-minute candle, crude oil has moved 21 points, 21 ticks, whereas RBOB has moved almost 53. So that's nearly double the amount, or over double. So it's definitely more liquid when it comes to ranges. But it is a thin market. Like, we can't argue that when you look at the dome, it's like, nothing, 6 contracts, nothing, nothing, 1 contract, nothing. Obviously that's going to cause a little bit of issue. But yeah, let's keep an eye just on the VWAP, because we are at some very important levels here. And if it can't break that, then, I'm going to have to bail. This would be maybe one of the rare moments where I might put my stop to break even. Maybe because, I don't want it just pinging back and then just me crying and going. So yeah. Yeah, it definitely moves. Let's have a look at Lazy Lion says, Hi Dee, when trading GC this time of the day, I usually keep yesterday's COMEX value area on my chart and the current London value. Is it wise or is it too much to also keep yesterday's London value in sight? Ray, what are your thoughts about this?
For me personally, since I trade mainly New York, I really focus in on the New York. I know. On occasion, I will generate a anchor VWAP, say for
Anchor
London
VWAP.
session, right?
Okay,
To
yeah.
start our London session, so that kind of gives anchor, and the anchor VWAP will, I guess, keep me aware of the sentiment for London, and I use that combination, and I found that to be beneficial.
Better, yeah, okay. I mean, for me, I don't look at COMEX much because I believe there are different players
Right.
in the game for this time of the day. Okay, so I just need to keep an eye on this because there is a little bit of a reaction. Let me just change my screen. A little bit of a reaction from VWAP, and crude oil is arriving into its own VWAP. So I have the 30-minute time frame here. We still have 12 minutes until the 30-minute TPO ends. We did have a nice drop on the 15-minute chart. I use confluences between the two. But yeah, I use, if I'm going to trade gold for London, I use specifically the London value if it's somewhere nearby. So I don't really pay too much attention to COMEX until COMEX actually opens. And I found that has worked really well for me. And then as soon as COMEX opens, the London value makes no sense. It's like they don't care about it. It's lower volume, not that much strength in a lot of the moves. But obviously, if you see something that is specific to COMEX, like let's say we get up to COMEX value high or something, and then they start to reverse it during London, yeah, that can be relevant. It's going to be a case by case basis, I think, definitely. So it's not like one size fits all. You have to see where you are, how far are the levels. If the London value is very far away, obviously that's not going to come into any decision making until much later, if at all, for the day. But yeah. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, I would I would probably keep both. I mean, I have my indicator that very easily displays both, so I can chop and change at a click of a button just to see where they are. I know it's not that easy in some of the other platforms, but yeah, just see, go back, test it, and see whether both are useful. If not, then just focus on value specific, on session specific values for the time of day that you're trading. That's what I would say. That's something that's
So I went ahead and took the long.
Okay.
On from 2751.
Yep.
I was kind of monitoring this on a 2-minute.
Yep.
And I got my little break of my channel.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for it to kind of similar to what you were saying with RBOB, maybe heading back up to VWAP above me.
Yep.
It's kind of my.
That looks good. Yeah, let's see if we get some traction here.
Yeah. Then
Awesome.
stop would basically be below this 80-hour low.
Structure. Yeah.
Yeah.
How big is that stop?
50 ticks.
50 ticks, yeah. I would say that's very appropriate. Yeah. We have a big intraday range in gold. I mean, I think it's moving over 200 ticks per day. So, again, skimping on stops is not the best thing. Sometimes when I see a very large day where there's like a lot of liquidity and then you hear people going, oh, light and tight. It's like, well, if it's tight, you're not going to stay in a trade for like 3.5 seconds. Yeah, so I don't really see the logic behind that.
Right.
Yeah, if something's moving a lot, I would, yes, definitely size down. But I would increase the stop to reflect the volatility that we have,
Yeah,
not the other way around.
You need to let it breathe, right?
Yeah. And if it doesn't breathe, like you can't catch it or you can't react to it on time. We're not robots.
You think you're doing something. You think you're doing yourself a service when you're really not.
Exactly. Yeah. I've learned that the hard way because when I got into intraday, I'm like, I need to use very tight stops now. So I tried trading on a 5 tick stop back
Yeah,
in the day, and
yeah,
that just didn't work. I was
yeah, yeah.
like,
The
paper cut
moment
after
they're in
paper cut.
profit, they right away they move it to break even, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that's another thing, moving things to break even too quickly.
mm, mm,
I typically like to let it breathe for at least 1 hour, maybe like somewhere close to it, but I need to have a decent move away from my position. And I actually got someone just this week asking me, oh, would you ever, actually, it was Anne Marie, she was in the chat because I think she's
oh, okay,
over in Europe, and she goes, would you ever put it to break even? Well, for example, yes, right now, we're hitting VWAP. Let me change to my screen. We're hitting VWAP on RBOB.
mm,
We're almost hitting VWAP on crude oil, and
yep,
it's a big relevant level. If we bounce from that, I don't want to be in a situation that I don't react. I might be talking and I don't react on time, and then
right.
I end up with a loss unnecessarily, right? So
Oh,
in
nice little
those
jump there.
situations, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, good. Let's have a look.
I get a little pop here in gold. So,
Ooh,
about
okay.
that.
Yeah, it's going well. It's going well. Let's see if you can shoot through those single prints
Yeah,
back up. That would be a very, very nice trade.
mm,
Yeah, there's a lot of movement today, guys. Like,
yeah.
it's not normally like this.
I wasn't coming into London
Good
thinking this,
trade.
but
Yeah, well, there it is. Yeah, a little fade back to VWAP. Yeah,
yeah, that's kind of exactly what
awesome.
I'm looking at.
Yeah, those are pretty juicy, aren't they? Like
Yeah,
I know you love those. You like to hug
yeah,
your
no,
VWAP.
yeah. That's what's the phrase? Have you hugged your VWAP today?
Have you hugged your VWAP today? That's Coach Ray's tagline. Yeah, so you need to hug your VWAP tight
On a daily basis, yes,
on a daily basis. You need the daily fix of VWAP hugs.
yes.
Yeah. So talk to us what's going on with the VIP because I know you guys are coming into
Yeah,
the end of
well,
the first.
we just
Yeah.
we just completed a round, and I think there's a draft coming
Yeah.
soon, and I'm really excited. Had a really good group. I was kind of hovering. They all I can't I don't recall exactly how many folks actually passed the combine during that period, but I was kind of hovering between 1 and 2 until Coach Jay overtook me there at the end of more folks passing the combine. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. Got to work with a lot of great people, and I think they have a draft, like I said, in the next week or so.
Yeah, so I'm going to be a VIP coach as well. Now this time around, we're not going to be able to do the female group, but we're going to try and do it in the next round. Primarily because when people were filling the forms back then, I still didn't pitch anything to MP or Danielle, so they
Mm,
didn't really have an option to say yes, I want to be a part of the female team. So to avoid offending anyone, if we
right.
mistake them for girls, we're not going to be doing that this time around. So it's going to be open for everyone, which might be, pretty exciting. But I'll be looking forward to the next run when we do have the girls going up against the boys. And
Excellent.
yeah, later on in the year, we can
Yeah.
battle it out.
Yes. Yes.
Battle of the genders in
Yeah. No, it's,
trading.
it's kind of nice to have that little competitive side to it, right? I
Yeah,
think it's great to compare. As long as again, as long as you're doing a responsible thing when we trade, I think that's the important thing.
yeah, yeah. Until you get to the last sort of 2 weeks, and then it's
Right.
like,
Yeah. Then
okay,
you
now size up.
now you size up. Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
you size up. Now we go nuts. Like the last
Yes.
last straw. That's it.
Yes.
Did you end up second? I think your
Yeah. Second.
mindset hunters
Second.
second.
Like I
Yeah,
said, I was first. My group was first for like almost the entire period. And I
yeah,
think in the last couple of weeks, Coach Jay kind of
yeah,
swooped in underneath me. He came out of the blue. Wasn't
yeah.
expecting.
He pulled it out of a
He
bag. Like
pulled it
he's an
out. Yeah.
excellent
Like I
coach.
said,
Yeah.
he instructed them to pull their stops, I guess.
Yeah, it's amazing because Coach Jay, whenever he's on, he's a very nice guy. He's very polite and
Yeah. Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
He,
Yeah.
he has a streak to him when he's a coach. Like he's not like he will
Yeah.
whoop your ass if you're not doing
Yeah.
things
Exactly.
the right way.
He walks around like you think he's a lamb, but then
Yeah,
the teeth
he's
of a wolf
definitely
come out,
not.
right?
Yeah,
So
I speak to him fairly frequently. We have a very good relationship, and yeah, he definitely is a different guy as a coach, and
mhm.
he's pretty firm, and he will tell you like it is. He is amazing. He's got
Very
some
good
real
coach.
skills there. Yeah, so looking forward to that. Like it's going to be an interesting year. Oh God, this thing is torturing me now. Look at it. It's like we've gone below it. Now we're going above
Yeah.
it again. Maybe I should just, grab my 300 here and be done. But yeah, it would be a bit of a negative risk reward there because it's 0.8 at the moment. Oh, let's wait for 3 minutes. Let's be patient and wait for
Yeah.
this TPO to close, and then we'll have a better idea. Even if it shoots back up, I have the break even. So technically, I should be just relaxed and breathing. But I had a couple of drinks last night, so maybe I'm not as
Okay.
relaxed. Yeah, no, it's that slight hangover, my tiny little
Just a
hangover.
little bit.
Yeah, we have my husband's sister staying for the night, so
Oh, okay.
we went out because it was my husband's birthday a couple of weeks ago, and she was away, and she decided to come, and then my husband informed me that we're going out for dinner, like half an hour before it actually happens. So I was like, oh, thanks for
Yeah.
letting me know, give me enough time to prepare. So
Right.
yeah, and then we went out, had some Korean plum wine, and that
Oh
was
my.
very lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A little sweet.
dangerous.
Sweet.
It's kind of like the restaurant that we go to. They I don't know what they do to it. It's kind of like right in the middle. It's neither
Okay.
sweet nor dry. It's like a little bit sweet. I know that I've had them where it was very very sweet, but usually that's the extra years ones that have fermented
Okay.
like for longer. And this one was just so nice and refreshing and
Oh, very
like amazing. Yeah, very dangerous.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
dangerous.
The fruity drinks will definitely catch up to you.
Fruity drinks, yeah, definitely, and it's 14% alcohol as well, so
Oh
it's
my.
not, yeah, it's not
Yeah.
that, yeah,
Not for the faint of heart.
yeah, definitely. It's like wine; it's the same thing.
Yeah.
All right, let's have a look at another question. Oh, we've got Paul H. Paul H has been here with both of us, right? So I
Oh,
don't know
okay,
whether you
Paul.
remember Paul. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he says, I see in gold an accumulation over since 20th of September. London just sold off, profit take, maybe. So US might do the same later today. I can see a pullback to 2660 area. Do you see that as a possibility? So Ray, you're in a trade there.
Yeah, I mean, anything's possible. It's really what the market participants want to do with it, right?
Yeah.
I would say that with all the inflationary kind of concerns, I think around the market, I think that gold is one of these, instruments that move quite well in that kind of environment.
Oh
So
yeah,
yeah,
for sure.
so
So it's possible, yes.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. That's the
Yeah.
conclusion. Yes,
Yeah.
it is possible.
Paul has a very good eye. Like every time he tells me what trades he's in, they're
Mhm.
always really well thought out, and he holds his trades. Like he's so patient. It's very, very
Oh,
good to
okay.
see that.
Very
Yeah. Yeah.
good quality.
Yeah, very good quality. It's a huge strength to have as a trader. To me, that's a greater amount of skill than someone who's like in and out, 3 seconds, no, 5 seconds. It's like if you can find an opportunity that will last you for like several hours, it means that you're really good with analysis and you're picking good levels. You're patient, you sit on your trades, and that's really the only holy grail in this line of work. All right. Do we have... here's another great question. Kentucky Blue says, how do you determine the breathing room? It's a very good question. So I like to use the average session range.
I think
Yeah.
that's different with every instrument, right? I think
Yeah.
over time you get a feel for how a particular instrument moves. And then the other thing is that you have also a price structure to help you along, right?
Yeah.
So, having some price structure can support your trade. This probably stop would probably be a little bit wider than I would normally take. I think 35 ticks in gold, I think is more than enough to get in on a gold trade. But at the end of the day, you need to ask yourself, where am I wrong on the current direction,
Yeah.
right? And if you have it around some structure, well, that's kind of how I use it. And then you have to evaluate whether that's too big for your account, right?
Yeah, that's another thing. Do you trade micros or can you absorb the loss? Because that's also what it's all about on a
Right.
mini. And if you can't, if it's like, you need to risk like a quarter of your account, that's probably a bit too big. So, if
Yes.
there is a micro That would be better. I like to use the average session range divided by a certain number to determine the stop size, and that is a formula, Ray, that you know very
Yes,
well from
yes, well aware.
my program. Yeah,
Yes.
but I do have some leeway. Obviously structure, like you say, definitely comes into consideration. But also, are we in a week where we've just gone totally crazy for some reason? That's an outlier. It's not really, you can't necessarily bank that that's going to be the range. And then as soon as that goes away, whatever caused the bigger increase on the day or a couple of days, then you'll be using stops that are too big. So, some sort of common sense needs to be included. Another decent way is to look at the ATR over an X number of candles. But again, that also has its drawbacks, because if you are in an overlap and then you're trading from London into COMEX, obviously the COMEX ranges are larger, and if you base your stops on what the ATR told you for London across the last 9 candles on a 5-minute chart, then that stop loss is not going to be enough. And even if you're in profit, one big move from COMEX, they just go and it's like all of your profits are blown away, and that can be a little bit tricky. So I would probably use ATR maybe later on in the session, but for the main sort of size of stop loss, I would still use like 10 to 14 days of regular trading hours ranges, get an average of that, and then divide it by a certain number to kind of get ballpark of what the stop loss should be. And that becomes your disaster stop. I'm not saying just use, 85 ticks in RBOB do or die, because if I get an opportunity to short it for like 45 ticks, I'm not going to be using an 85 tick stop. That's
Right.
crazy.
Right.
But again, it's a case by case, and there are different ways that different people like to do it. I know Coach Paul uses 2 times ATR. So he looks at it on a 5-minute chart, and then he's like, well, if this is telling me it's 15, I'm going to use a 30 tick stop. That's an excellent way.
Right.
So whichever way you decide that you connect with more, make that a part of your plan and don't deviate from it. And same goes for position sizes, by the way. I see too many people who are like, I'm in with 1, and now I'm in with 3, now I'm in with micros. It's like, well, what is that? That's not a plan. That's you just not having a plan of what's your default size. There's a reason why we get, default size from the risk team. And, they're pretty generous with that. Like, for example, normally I will trade like micros, 5 micros or 1 or 2 lots. But I can trade up to 5 because the risk team is like, well, you can have 5. And I'm like, but I don't want 5. Can I just have 1 or 2? And they're like, yeah, because of the system, let's just keep it at 5. So if I was, undisciplined, or I get a bit annoyed, I could just whack in a 5 lot and be done with it. But is that the best way? No, because in my head, I'm like, no, it's 1 or 2 minis. And that 2 minis, if I really get a good opportunity to add into a trade. But I will always start with 1. That's like my default size. I don't even think about anything else. So I think that's a very important thing to delineate, to make sure. 7. Hold on, my dogs are going to kick off. All right, we're going to take another question here. So let's see. Ajaz. Ajaz is here as well. He's been a permanent fixture. Dee, what do you make of yesterday's CL auction? I'm guessing. I saw a value rejection and then break to the upside, took the pullback entry, but then it just sat around. Yeah, that is exactly what we're talking about. Ajaz, crude oil is not the same. I'm going to kill this trade, by the way, if I can ever find my mouse, because I don't like this reaction from VWAP. All right, so that's about 211 there, not bad for the London session. So Ray and I were talking about the fact that crude oil is just dry, right? It's like 120 ticks on a good day. Every so often it might go to like 200, but that's usually across London and Asia. Something happens that makes it trend outside of regular trading hours. And for all intents and purposes, back in February last year, crude oil just stopped moving. And usually, February can have like a bit of seasonal depression. But then it never came back. March, April, June. Like me and Coach Hoop were like waiting for it. We're like, come on, like where? And then at one point we're in the chat and Coach Hoop is going, Dee, where are they? Where have
Yeah.
they gone? And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't know, bring them back. So yeah, and everybody who's traded crude oil, we've experienced the same thing. So Ray, you said you've been focusing more
Yeah, no,
on
I just
gold, right?
naturally gold,
Yeah.
right, of late, and I just don't find my way into crude oil much of late because I always find some opportunity in gold. So, okay.
Right, sorry about that. Just had to go deal with my seven of nine. One of my dogs is called by the Voyager character, and
Hmm.
she likes to sit at the window, and then one of her brothers opens the window, and then she barks. So we don't
Of
want that.
course.
Yeah, because it's doggy TV, the window.
Yes.
Yeah, hopefully we're going to be moving to the country soon, and
Mm.
then she's going to have cows to bark at.
Yes. Yes, or squirrels.
Yeah, not sure whether there are. So we have squirrels here actually in London. A lot of them in the back. But
Mm.
yeah, maybe squirrels, cows, and all that. So yeah, I just wanted to stop her because she gets very loud. She's like, "I'm a big. You will be assimilated." All right. Let's see. So Ajaz, like I said, probably not the best product anymore. You know, this happens every so often. We've had a good run on crude oil. You know, we've had probably decades of it moving like crazy, and now it's dried up, and you know, it's going through menopause or something. I don't know. So it's fine. Yeah, we moved to other markets. Like I said, if you're looking for something that's similar, you know, RBOB is pretty good. It's very, very similar to crude oil like it used to be. So you and I worked in and around COVID lockdowns and stuff. And it was crazy back then. You know, we used to have like 500, 600, 700 ticks. One day it went 2,000 ticks. It was insane. And this is a very different market now. So move to RBOB, move to gold.
Yeah.
You know, just don't stick to a product that's clearly dried out. So
Hmm.
yeah, choice of product very important.
Yeah.
How do we enter in Topstep VIP? Says hard way to
You know, I really
trade.
don't know what the selection process there is. It's kind of a hidden sauce, I would say.
Yeah,
You know, they don't really reveal how that is all done. There was talk at one point that coaches would be involved in the selection, you know, kind of like a draft, you know,
yeah. I think they're
getting more
doing the draft
profiles.
next week, but how?
Yeah,
I don't know. Yeah,
yeah. So, yeah, it's kind of a little bit of hidden sauce. I would say that you probably need to be obviously very much involved in Topstep TV, I think,
yeah,
in that they need
yeah. In the
you to
chat.
be very present there, and maybe
Yeah.
they reward those who are there often, right?
Yeah, it would be fair, wouldn't it? Because
Yeah.
you put in the effort. You know, we always see the same people asking questions,
Yes.
and you know, if we know your name because you've
Yes.
asked loads of questions, we'll all remember you. And
Yeah.
if we
Absolutely.
get any sort of input into who gets to be in our groups, like I know who I would choose, but I think that would be maybe a little bit of abuse of power. It's like you choose your traders. Yeah, so I don't know. We'll see. Next week, I did get a notification that next week we're going to be doing the
Yeah. Yeah.
draft.
I
Yeah,
received something similar as well.
yeah.
So,
That's going to be Wednesday, I think, next
yeah.
week, if I'm
Yep.
correct. Yeah,
Yep.
so I think we're all going to be on fast markets, and then they're going to be announcing who's
Hmm.
going to be where in what
Hmm.
team. So yeah,
Hmm.
very exciting times. But yeah, I don't exactly know. I know that you need to fill out the forms, and as many entries as you have, I think that increases your odds of getting selected.
Right.
However, which team you're going to be in on, I think that's pretty much the luck or the draw.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's fair as well at this point, you know. Maybe if we get a serious top step trading league, we can like pick and choose names and stuff. But yeah, for now, it's just a nice free coaching service that, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. It's
we're
an
doing.
excellent option.
Yeah.
Excellent. thing that Topstep is doing for folks.
Yeah, it was an inspired move by MP
Yeah.
on in a pub, as you do. you know, that's
Oh,
where
oh,
all
good
the good
idea.
ideas come
Pub,
from.
right?
Yes, exactly. Is there an echo in here? Yeah. All right. So I'm happy I exited my trade because we whoops, that's the wrong button. Because we had a little bounce on a 100-tick chart. I know it's not the biggest time frame, but I've experienced this as a precursor to a bigger reversal. So when you see this sort of a pretty decisive bounce from VWAP, that tends to be pretty dangerous if you're on the other side of the market. So I'm happy I took some profit there. You know, it was a nice little move for London. So now I'm just going to sit and wait, and we can track Ray's trade because I
Yeah.
think you're still in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's doing very well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
A
So
little slower than I'm normally used to, but
yeah.
as long as you move in the right direction, we really don't care.
Yeah, we're all good. Yeah. How would you manage a trade? I know that you use your channels, but let's say that it starts to reverse, and you know where would your cutoff point be? Would you move your stop to break even? Do you do that, or do you just let it play out, or do
Yeah.
you take it off early?
I have these tip the doorman thing that I use.
Yeah.
So once I get to within about 10% of my target, I just candle by candle stop.
Right.
Right. So I have this.
What time frame?
Sorry.
Time frame for the candle by candle.
Oh, candle by candle with right now I'm on this on a 2-minute.
2
Right.
minute.
So
Yeah.
on the
Okay.
2-minute chart is kind of what I'm looking at. So I will just draw this. I'm not doing any sort of serious math here, but let's just say that I would draw a line right about there. That's 10% of my target. Say, then anytime I'm inside this area, that would be kind of my reason for. And if I get a break at that point, I'm willing, because at that point it doesn't become you're risking far more for that last bit
Yeah.
to reach, right?
Yeah. It becomes a negative risk reward. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're really not doing yourself a service by being greedy and holding out the trade to the end.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
that's another thing, you know, they call it being, well, let's say it, we're all adult here, dick for a tick, right?
Right.
Whenever I see people who are like, oh, I have like, oh God, I keep pressing the wrong button, Christ. Yeah, so whenever I see people, let's say that, for example, you were in a long, and let's do some measuring tools here, long position. Let's say you caught it, you know, somewhere around here, and then you're really aiming for, you know, a nice big target all the way up at 211, and then it gets to this point, like 210.64, and they're like, no, I really want 211. Well, what are you doing at that point? Yes, that's your stop. This is your profit. But what you're effectively doing is chasing this tiny little portion and then effectively risking, actually, let me do the long position. You're effectively chasing this tiny little portion and risking all of this.
Right.
So what do we call that? We call that the negative risk reward. Is this worth it when you've gotten all that?
Right.
No. And this is why most of us who have been in this job for a while, we have some sort of a, 10% rule, 90% rule, however you want to call it. So if it gets to anywhere near your target, you're supposed to be thinking, okay, well, I don't want to risk all of my profits here. Now, there are diminishing returns. Obviously, if you're in a negative risk reward, then it's like, maybe I should just let it run. But most of us, Ray, myself, Hogue, we use positive risk reward on our trades. So by the time you're over 1.3, that's already a statistically amazing trade. Like, it's a statistically viable trade. So why would you risk all of this to chase a tiny little amount over here? Right. It doesn't make any sense. And yet nobody thinks about that. It's like, don't turn your profitable trade into a negative game of chasing the last few ticks. It's not necessary.
What do they say about pigs?
About what?
Pigs.
Pigs? Oh yeah, pigs get slaughtered. And what's the other? There's a second part to that saying.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember it. But I know that's the greed portion, right?
Yeah. Yeah. But don't get slaughtered.
Yeah.
Don't get slaughtered.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just some of the things that might help you visualize what you're actually doing with a trade. This is why I like these measuring tools. On my other platform, I actually have the little modified fib tool that I like to
Oh yeah.
use. So yeah, you know it.
Yeah.
It's actually one of my FAQs from my very first video when I had massive purple hair back in 2015. So I like to plot my trade on a chart like this. It's nothing more than a modified fib tool that comes with the actual platform, and then I modify all the levels so that it shows me risk reward without anything mathematical, because I don't like doing too many calculations when I'm trying to do visual pattern analysis. And it gives you a feel of where you are, how far away you're from your target, and whether you've gone into a positive territory where you're now looking at over 1 hour, and literally anything over 1.3 hour, that's game. That's a good trade. And
Yes.
we like to shoot for doubles on most trades because the doubles stabilize your system, right? If you have let's say 1-to-1 risk reward, you need to maintain the profitability of over 56% at all times. As soon as it dips below that, you're in negative territory. You are bleeding money. And yet you're 56% of the time profitable. It's like, that's a good accuracy. What are we doing here? So for us, it's easier. And to me, it's actually less stressful to just go, I shoot for 2R. Obviously, I'm going to bail early, so not all trades are going to go to 2R. You've seen the RBOB. We hit an orientation point that I deemed very dangerous, and I decided to exit. And it was a negative R. But that's not going to be always the case. I took an opportunistic trade that doesn't normally happen for this time of the day, and I'm happy I took a little sort of base hit sort of thing.
Yeah. Yep.
However, whenever I go for my big trades, if there is an opportunity, if it keeps going, it hits 2R. That stabilizes my whole system, because that means
Right.
even if I dip down below 40%, I can still remain profitable and, not bleed out money. And then it just comes down to your personal psychology. Some people love being right, but I don't care when I'm wrong. What about you, Ray? Are you bothered by
Yeah.
losses? Are you?
I mean, I think every trader, I think it, to some degree, it affects them a bit, when they lose, right?
Yeah,
So I think everybody wants to win, but it can't consume you to such a point where you can't take the next trade,
yeah,
right? If you need
exactly.
to walk away, kind of refresh at 15 minutes and come back to the markets because you took a loss, then you have to have a short memory.
Yeah,
You can't let that trade affect your decision process going forward, because you're going to end up missing out on a good trade. So,
yeah.
um, yeah,
I always, I,
the emotional part of it is definitely something that is
Yeah, it's all
consistent.
emotions. It's
Yeah.
literally all emotions. Anyone can learn to read levels. A level is just a line on the chart, right? It's what happens after. Like, what do you do when a level doesn't work, or when it overshoots your level, then reclaims it? All of that can throw us off. And, no one is fully immune from that. But I think we get better. Yeah, I know that I've certainly gotten more calm as a person since I've become a trader. Because usually I used to be, when I was younger, when I was in my 20s and 30s, I was a bit pig-headed, I wouldn't let it go. And a couple of times that got me into trouble with trading. But then over time, you're just like, okay, didn't work. It's all right. And
Yeah,
I
I mean
think it's
that's really the mindset you need to have
yeah,
to be consistent, right?
yeah.
So you
I always
can't be
say
an
it's
emotional roller coaster.
no, you need to be emotionally resilient to
Yeah.
be in this market. I do see maybe a couple of people in the chat who are quite dramatic, and
Mm.
like I know there's somebody threatening self-harm uh,
Yeah, that's not good.
if we didn't give him a reset or something. It's like,
Yeah, that's not good.
yeah, okay. If you're gonna try and harm yourself every time something happens with the platform, maybe consider that this job isn't for you. But
Yeah.
yeah, you have to be strong emotionally, and you can learn that as well. You don't have to be born super strong, but you
Mhm.
absolutely can train yourself to deliberately say to yourself, like, actually, one of the things that helps is to say, I'm not bothered by this loss. It was just one trade. Say it out
Right.
loud. Say it out loud.
Right.
Sorry, my dogs are going crazy.
Okay.
Let me just get 7 out of here because she's
Okay.
just not playing ball at all. Yeah, we still have roofers in here, so every so often there's kerfuffling downstairs, and they're like, "Who's that? We need to be watchdogs. Our house." And then they go
Yeah.
downstairs and they lick them to death. So I'm like,
Yes. Yes.
what is the point there? But yeah, most of the dogs are out. We still have 2 that are generally quiet, so we should be good for that one. Okay, let's see more questions. Claude says, what is the best advice for both of us? What is the best advice you guys can give for traders who hold on long positions for hours to manage the trades more efficiently? Well, I wouldn't overmanage. If you're planning a position to last 4 hours, then technically you shouldn't, stay on a 30-minute chart or something, or maybe even a 1 hour chart. If you're going to stare at like 5 minutes and 2 minutes, that's for sure going to get you out of a trade, so it's not
Yeah.
going to be in there.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on this, Ray?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that if you plan on staying in the trade for 4 hours, you definitely don't want to look at a tick chart or a 1 minute chart or a 2 minute chart, right?
Yeah,
Like Dee has mentioned, you're looking at this on a 30-minute chart, and to be honest, you set your stop, you walk away, you come back in an hour, and see where it's at, right?
yeah,
I think that's if you're looking to stay in the trade that long, that merits that kind of approach, right?
yeah,
And if
yeah.
you're not comfortable, letting the trade play out like that without you in front of the charts, then that's probably an indication that you're probably trading too much size.
Yeah, yeah. If you like you, Ray, you have that saying. If
Right.
what is it? If you can't walk away,
Yeah, if you can't walk away, you're obviously trading too much equity on that trade, right?
yeah,
It's just
it's
your mindset is not
wagging
allowing
too
you.
much. Yeah,
Yeah,
too much
you're
equity in
trading
one
dollars
trade.
rather than process, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
trading P&L. So yeah, make sure you're in appropriate size, that you're comfortable with walking away, and
yep,
don't overmanage. So rather than managing trades, I would say don't overmanage them. Just let the trade do what it's meant to do,
right.
and obviously review. Right, if you find that trades don't last 4 hours and they turn around at some point, see whether there's any patterns to that. Like, does it turn around at a particular time of day? And does that always happen? Because this is something that markets do. You have one session goes one way, the next session opens, it typically reverses whatever the other one has done. So if you're getting caught in that, well, maybe consider cutting the trade before then. That's the only
Yeah,
kind of management that I would be doing on
yeah,
longer term positions. And I've had trades that have lasted 3-4 hours.
yeah,
My platinum trades are never short. They're like, usually I put them on, and then 4 hours later I come back and I'm like, oh, okay, well, we're getting
yeah,
close, So yeah, not managing positions would be the thing to do there. Stay on a larger time frame. Make
hmm
sure you track, the times of day. Otherwise, just let it run. It's a
yeah,
good position to be in on,
yeah.
definitely.
And I think that's excellent advice for those who want to stay in trades longer. You cannot be looking at 1 minute charts all day,
No,
right?
no,
You
no.
have to move up to a 15-minute. Notice I probably, if I was looking at the 2 minute, would probably be out of this trade already,
Yeah,
honestly, right? Because I probably have already gotten a number of channels break to the downside,
yeah,
right?
and it's slowed
So
down. Yeah, so
yeah,
it's slowing
so
down.
yeah, so moving to a 15 allows me to kind of play this trade. Something psychological about having candles move up and down versus candles closing against you
Yeah,
is definitely different, right?
yeah, yeah. All right. Let's see. Trading Nichols says, I was off work late, Coach Ray, and I missed your lesson. But I've
Ah,
been here every morning all week for Dee, and it's crazy good to see you here too, Ray.
oh, thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah. So this is obviously one of your students.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have a session that I do Monday through Thursday on Discord through the Topstep Discord server there, group coaching call from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Central Time. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, this is obviously somebody who's always there, but
yeah, that's excellent.
Sue, yeah, couldn't do it because he missed your lesson. Yeah, Ray and I have known each other now for what's coming up to 6 years now.
Yeah, it's probably
Yeah,
around the same time I've had my funded account. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's
yeah,
amazing. I can't believe it's been that long already,
yeah, it
Christ.
has.
Yeah, it's beautiful. You see, to see you, Ray. You know, you're now a coach as well,
Mm,
and
mm,
you have a lot of experience anyway, even before you came to me. And
yeah.
as soon as we started working together, Ray was one of the most patient traders that I have. Like, there was never a day when he's like, "Oh, I did 30 trades today. Oh my God!"
No,
No, he was always like, "I did my one trade." You know.
yeah, it didn't work out.
Yeah, it didn't work out. Let's see what we can do better. And then we kind of
Right.
talk it through. And
Yeah.
then, you would pull it back very quickly. Like you were
Yeah.
so good at implementing. And I think
Yeah.
that's a big key if you are in these VIP groups and any coaching sessions, even this class as well. I talk a lot here. This is more like a class than like active trading, clicking buttons all the time. Because of the slowness of the London session. There's not that much happening most days. And yes, sometimes we find a trade, sometimes we don't. But the point being is that if you are on any of these educational lectures, whether it's Coach Ray, Coach Jay, myself, Dakota, we talk about logistics of trading that will help you, but you're the one who has to put it into practice. Like nobody can do that for you. So all of the talk that we do, all of the good advice that we give, if you don't put it into action, you're not going to see results. So take whatever you hear that you think might help you, depending on whatever problems you have. We're all very open to answering questions, tackling your problems. And but you're the one who has to do the work. So,
Yeah.
that's the only thing I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Eric, number 91, says gold sells looking good and then jumps to NQ. Thoughts on NQ? Question mark, question mark. Do you have any thoughts on NQ? I think you probably look
Yeah,
at it more than
it's
I
not a
do.
market I often trade just
Yeah,
because of the volatility.
yeah,
It's a little bit too crazy for me. Actually, NQ brings out these bad habits, bad
yeah,
kind of things out of me in trading. And honestly, I was when I came to you, I was mainly trading equities,
yeah. I
and I was
remember. Yeah,
basically a break-even trader.
yeah.
And it was you convinced me to look at gold and crude oil that actually turned the corner for me. So
Do you know what's
uh,
funny though? Because when you were calling out trades on ES and NQ, because that's how you started, the
yeah,
trade ideas were very solid, but
yeah,
it's just the price action was so nuts that so
yes,
you can't
yes.
do anything with
The
it.
mindset would just not
Yeah.
allow you to sit in that trade.
Yeah. And as soon as we moved you to slightly more sane markets,
Yes,
you just flourished and very quickly. It was like, it wasn't even a month since I moved you
right.
to
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah,
I
suddenly
passed
he's
my
like, oh,
combine
past the
within a month of
combine.
joining you. Yes,
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. You didn't even
yeah,
tell me you were doing a combine. And he goes, oh, yeah, by the way, just wanted to let you know, I got funded. And back then it was still a two-stage process. So it wasn't
yes,
like, oh, yeah, 2 days and you're in. It was
right.
1 month, well, 10 days
Yeah,
minimum.
yeah.
And then another however long it took you to get through to the next
Correct,
phase
correct.
with a $3,000 daily loss limit, which would be like your daily
With
loss becomes
far
your
more
weekly loss.
restrictions.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah,
restrictions. But it
yeah,
was a good exercise, though, to
yeah,
not size up and last
yeah,
longer. It was
yeah.
great. Yeah, I'm not that much in favor of all of these like, oh, just one rule and that, like it's everybody's gone that way. It's not
Everybody
Topstep.
becomes funded, right?
Yeah, everyone becomes funded, and then what happens? Oh, I lost the account. How
Yeah,
long were you in the account? For a day.
3 days. Yeah.
Oh, it's 3 days. Well, I see people that last 1 day and they blow out of an
One day.
XFA.
Yeah,
It's like all that
yeah,
work. And they're like,
yeah.
well, I didn't do that much work. I passed it in 2 days. Yeah, but maybe that's the problem. Let's try and change that. Yeah.
Well, D, you
So,
always know how to set them straight.
yeah.
You know, versus
Yeah.
their
Yeah, I'm
So
very straightforward. I'm very
yes,
straightforward. Yeah,
yes,
I don't think that patting people on the back for doing wrong things is very beneficial in this game. And again, you've got to be emotionally resilient. If you can't handle a coach telling you off for something stupid that you've
right,
done,
right.
you have to own up to it, and you have to go,
Yes,
"Yep, I was a muppet. Let's move
yes,
on. Let's do better next time." But just don't keep making the same mistakes over and over. That's the
absolutely,
one thing that annoys me, right? And
absolutely.
and I will put people on the Bart Simpsoning, as actually I think Ajaz was the one who coined it, the writing exercise, which I thought
Yeah,
was a
yeah.
was a nice twist
Thankfully,
to
I was
that.
never part of that.
No, because you didn't need to, because you didn't lose control.
Yeah.
And yeah, I never needed to put you onto the writing exercise.
Mm.
And if you guys don't know what it is, you remember in Bart Simpson, in The Simpsons, in the beginning, Bart is always doing something wrong. And in the beginning, the teacher gets him to write on the blackboard, like,
Hmm.
50 times, I don't know, I will not do this, I will not do that. Well, interestingly, there is a mind to muscle connection that happens when you do that as a negative reinforcement technique. And if you do it on the right sort of mistakes, it's by far the fastest way to advance. So what I
Yeah.
usually do, if somebody keeps making the same mistake, let's say I tell them, don't trade the first hour of COMEX, it's crazy. And they sit down, enter a trade during IB, and
Mm,
I'm like, okay, that's strike one, I suppose. But
mm,
let's
mm,
try not to do that tomorrow. And
mm,
then after a week, they're still doing it every single day. And I'm like, okay, we need to do something about this. And
yes.
that's the point where I would say, let's spend the next 7 days, never mind weekends, never mind whatever, the next 7 days before bedtime. You have
Hmm.
to write down at least like 25 to 50 times.
Yeah.
I will not trade during initial balance. I will
Hmm.
not trade. And, sometimes we'd have people going out because, some of them are pretty young. They still have lively social lives. They
Right.
will be like drunk on a Saturday and they have
Yeah.
to screenshot the Bart Simpsoning. And they will be like, no, we're not trading. It's like the handwriting is all messed up.
Well,
So yeah, but it does work, and then usually the next week they're like, "Oh, hold on, I'm not supposed to trade during IB," and I'm like,
right.
"Yes, you
Right.
got it finally."
Yes.
So yeah, it's a very interesting psychological trick that you can use, but it
Yes.
has to be done before bedtime,
Oh,
because
okay.
our
So you
brains
just
do.
continue thinking about it in your dreams.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
like whatever you give to your brain as the last task of the day
Mm,
stays in your subconscious, and
mm,
the neural networks work much faster.
mm.
I used to do that as a musician when I had a very difficult phrase that was causing me jip. I
Yeah.
would usually practice it all the way through to the point that I'm going to bed,
Mm.
driving all of my family absolutely insane. Because it's like playing sax until like midnight, and
Wow.
then going to bed.
Wow.
And yeah, it works. It works very well. So I transfer that over to trading in a similar way.
Mm. Very good.
Yeah, a little trick for you guys. Let's see who else. I think we have more questions here. Berggren says, how do you manage trading, coaching, Discord presence, and personal time? Well, actually, and a teacher, right? Full-time job, right?
Oh,
How do you manage all of that?
it's not easy.
Yeah,
I think you want to make sure when you trade around the same times always, right? Because you start to pick up the little nuances about that particular time frame. So
yeah,
you kind of obviously require some time management,
yeah,
but you can do I reserve the before I go teach, I say 8:30 Eastern all the way to 10:30 Eastern,
yeah,
100% on the sort of the coaching and the trading aspects. And I really don't do a whole lot of afternoon trading. And to be honest with you, I haven't really had a whole lot of success in
yeah.
afternoon trading,
Afternoon, yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Uh, so is it wise for someone to trade in a time frame where you don't have a whole lot of success? I found it not to be true, so I just reserve it for that window, and that's so. Yeah, obviously there's time management. Like I said, you need to pick a time where you can consistently trade and focus. That's very important. And then, yeah,
Yeah, so time management is definitely tricky. I know that some days when I'm on, I have the London session, then sometimes we kind of pop in the middle of the day, and then sometimes I have another appearance like 12, 13 hours later.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you don't manage yourself, you're going to find yourself very tired, burnt out very quickly. And I do my power naps.
Yep.
Whenever I know that I'm going to have a big day, I will schedule a power nap, and I hate naps. Like, I'm not someone who used to do power naps back in the day, but now I have to. It's just longer days, and you have to preserve the mental capital. So yeah, there are ways around it, and yes, there's only 24 hours in a day, like the next comment said. But it is possible with a bit of premeditated thought. So you think it through and you schedule things around, and it might be uncomfortable at first, but it's definitely possible. And Coach Ray is a great example of that, running parallel careers, right?
Yeah.
It's amazing. Sushim says, what do you think about Japanese interest rate decision tomorrow, and what is your thought about the market overall? I don't really trade currencies anymore. And then he also says, or they say specifically the euro and yen currencies. I haven't traded the euro for a long time. And currencies are just not really on my radar. If you watch Coach Jay and Coach Paul at the buzzer, currencies are very, very rarely on that list of biggest movers. And we want to go where the volatility is. Now, granted, with the interest rate decision, the Bank of Japan has been making some changes. So that can bring some volatility into the yen specifically, maybe even euro yen. But obviously these are futures, and therefore you have to, if you were to make a cross pair, it would have to be a synthetic pair made up from euro and yen. You can't just trade it as as one pair, like you would in a CFD brokerage or something like that. So if you're looking to trade the BOG aftermath, I would probably focus on the yen. And yeah, it's probably going to move. So, if you can find some opportunities there, great. Just don't expect that all of a sudden the yen is just going to start wagging around 200 ticks or pips per day. I think the best bet there would be to watch what Coach Paul says, because I know that he trades yen. But I'm not sure that Coach Ray and myself are the right people for that, because I haven't even looked at those charts in a really long time. Have you, Ray? Have you looked at currencies recently?
I might have taken, since I'm always looking for a market I can trade overnight. I think I did spend one night looking at the yen, but and maybe even took a trade overnight in the yen. But no, I'm not a market I normally trade. No.
Yeah, I agree. Bar a few isolated days, it wouldn't be something I would be looking at. And even then, maybe I would look at Nikkei, because I do trade Nikkei every so often, not every day, but every few weeks I see a good opportunity in the Nikkei, and I will trade that. Nicholas says, sorry, you said which symbols had better price action. Well, better price action. That's a
loaded question.
Yeah, that's a loaded question. So, for myself and Ray, I think we're pretty much of similar thought there. I think gold is better. Yeah. RB, so RBOB, gasoline futures are pretty decent. And then ES, over NQ any day. But if you're looking for a market that moves faster, then my choice would be YM. It would be the Dow.
Yeah.
Because it's very similar, but it respects levels. NQ overshoots through everything, but the Dow does actually respect levels. So have a look at them and see whether you connect with those symbols, and try it out. At the end of the day, track it and see which one you do best. So it's the only thing we can do, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, Kentucky Blue has
I've gone ahead and cut that trade. I was trying to come into the bottom of the hour here, but. I was at 27 ticks or something along those lines.
That's great for London. That's brilliant. Because it's a quiet session.
Continuing without me here a little bit, but
that's fine. Yeah, it's a good trade. Nice trade. Yeah, so we both had some trades today. That's excellent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what got you out of that trade? So what were you seeing?
You start to see this horizontal price action. You start building up a little bit of volume here, and you wonder, okay, is it beginning to maybe distribute? I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah.
maybe creating a situation where it might want to head lower. So that was kind of the motivation. Really didn't like this kind of price action, this horizontal price action to sit through.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and again,
London
I
can
don't.
get very much like watching paint dry
Yeah,
sometimes.
and I
Yeah.
know I normally don't trade London, so I really don't know how it behaves. So
Yeah, this is how it behaves. Yeah, it's like it makes a move, then it
yeah,
stops, then it
yeah,
hangs for 2 hours, then it moves again, and it's like,
right.
okay, great. And it can hunt down your mental capital, like it's like so terrible. This is why I've been trying to get DAX into Topstep, and
Hmm.
hopefully, I mean, apparently they're working on it. So hopefully, at some point this year,
One day soon.
one day soon, yeah, we might actually get it. Kentucky Blue
Yes,
has a question for you, Ray.
sure.
Ticks versus time candles for entries slash exit. Is one better than the other?
Yeah, I would my answer, and I think it's really around your mindset. I would say, I think whatever resonates. I one of the techniques that I've used of late. I don't know where I picked this up from, but in order to kind of keep me away from looking at profit, and this might have helped me in this trade. And I had dollars listed there, but I often put ticks, as to kind of track my progress. And that's kind of a kind of little psychological tool that you can do to yourself, because when you associate money, right? It says, well, you have money on the table that's there ready for the taking. You can using ticks actually neutralizes that, right?
Yeah,
And then allows you to continue to trade your strategy.
yeah.
So I often use ticks on my charts for that purpose. So I don't know if that's necessarily answering your question, but I think that's the part I resonated with what you said. So,
Yeah. So I think he's also asking about the time frames because I know a lot of us have started using 100 tick charts and stuff like
oh
that.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I've never found a tick chart that I've kind of resonated with. I'm usually time based,
yeah.
so I generally trade time, and that's because haven't really had a whole lot of exposure in using ticks. So I'm usually looking at the 30 and 15, and when I'm ready to get into a trade, I'm looking at the 2 minute.
Yeah.
So that's
I look
something
at
that's something
I
that
look
I
at both. Yeah, I would say I look at both. So 2 minutes is something I have on my other screens at all time. Usually
yeah.
via Ninja Trader because they also have these equi-volume candles, so it kind of smushes volume and time together in one candle
Hmm.
without needing any volume indicators. But the only reason why I have 100 tick chart on my screen is because it's sort of a replacement for Bookmap. Which I
Okay.
also have, but I don't want to be constantly staring at Bookmap. We want to stay
Yeah.
focused on Topstep because this is TopstepTV. But I do have this at all times, right? So if I want to show you that there's some momentum and stuff, I use this little ribbon of 9 EMAs and then a tick chart that will show you a pretty quick reversal, and then all I'm looking for is just like a timing tool. I'm already using a level and maybe even existing price action from something else, but if I really want to get myself into or out of a trade, this would be a good alternative to Bookmap.
Yeah.
It's quick enough and it shows you the movement. I mean, here you can clearly see that they've started to accumulate around overnight VWAP. It's like
Right.
clearly they've done nothing since. So I'm glad that I exited. But if anything, now this is more of a long opportunity. So if we can
Yep.
maybe get up to GAX 2, and
Yep.
then if crude oil can also accept its value, perhaps we have some longs on the cards.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be trading this until later on because I already took a little bit of profit for London, and I don't aim for like massive profits in this particular account just yet. But yeah, that would be my outlook here. Bounce from VWAP, continuation upside after a nice several days movement down.
Hmm.
How many days do we have going down? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Statistically, this means we're due for some sort of an upside move, and even if it doesn't last all day, at this point, without further continuation past VWAP, I would say we're probably in some longs territory if we can get some some committed buyers stepping in. So yeah. All right, let's see if we get more questions. If not, then we can finish it. Oh, we do have some questions. Okay, let's shoot through these. Sushim says, but you are not concerned about the Japan increase in the interest rates. It will affect the market crazy. Okay, so we're day traders, right? And Bank of Japan has been a negative and 0% interest rate for actually over a decade. Yes, it will affect the market. It should affect the market. Yen has been a dead currency for a decade. It is time for the yen carry trade to come back. I had whole co-integration strategies that were automated that broke down once the interest rates went to zero everywhere. And that was a big problem. So I had to throw out all of the work that we've done for 2 years on these algorithms because there was no more movement. There was no differential between countries' rates. Everybody was at 0.25, 0, and then Switzerland and Japan decided to go to minus. And it's like, there's not enough difference there. So I'm actually looking forward to them doing something about their interest rate. Is that going to put yen back on the board as a tradable currency intraday and good trading conditions for day traders? I think so, and I'm looking forward to that. If that happens, I will absolutely put yen back into my tradable products. I used to be a forex trader. It would be nice to have a currency that moves committedly at most days, right? So if you're planning some swing trades, this would be the time to look for those, right? Maybe take out some options as well. Currencies have options on them. This would be the time. And yes, it will affect the market. Yes, it should. Alexandra says, and FTSE is also good. I prefer DAX over FTSE, I will be honest. FTSE moves well, but then I think they still have the early close. And after that, you can't bail out of positions. Whereas DAX has changed the hours, so they actually have extended hours, so you can bail out of positions. Not like overnight and stuff, but it stays open, and then it again starts up again in the morning. Final question for the day, guys, and then we're going to let Coach Ray get some sleep. Trading nickels. I was trading 100 tick charts for slow markets, but looking at 500 tick and 1000 tick has been very helpful, but that's at Topstep X. At TradingView, I assume, I stay on searching time charts. Yeah, I think that's a good approach. Slow markets and time, it doesn't really gel because there's not that much movement. So looking at a tick chart would probably smooth out a lot of the price action. And that is one of the times that tick charts will be more preferable over time charts. But if you're trading during regular trading hours, there's very little reason to look at tick charts, right? Is that your opinion as well?
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, like I said, I really haven't gone into any kind of depth with tick charts. So I've been a time-based trader since the beginning.
Yeah. So just do whatever works. We're all different people. Test it out, review, improve, keep what works, discard what doesn't. All right, we're going to leave you with that for today. So we have next week full of shenanigans with the VIP drafts and everything. So congratulations on your second spot. That's an amazing achievement.
Thank you so much. I couldn't do it without my team, though. I was just there.
Yeah. Traders did an amazing job. So let's do it all over again, right? So we have another round of VIP starting next week, it sounds like. Coach Ray, thank you so much for being here with me. I really appreciate you joining me. It's been a while. Let's see what the rest of this week brings, and let's rest up for the weekend and take take it slow into the new VIPs. Lots of work to be done. Okay, so do I have
let's make 2025 the best year ever, guys.
Yes, let's do that. That's excellent. Let me just drop some links for you. Now, I'm not going to drop this 5,000 payout club because most of you are in Europe and they just don't send those, so that's a little bit pointless. But yeah, Coach Ray is in Discord, and as you know, we have over 100,000 people in Discord. If you have not checked that out, you absolutely must check out, at the very least, Coach Ray's class that runs Monday through Thursday. Remind remind me of the time
Yes.
again?
Yes. Monday through Thursday from 6 to 7 Central Time.
6 to 7 p.m. Central Time. Find Ray in his classroom on
Yes.
Discord
Yeah.
and
Coach's Classroom.
join. Yeah, Coach's Classroom. That is what you're
Yep.
looking for.
Yep.
Now, if
Yep.
you want to come and join us for a bit of live trading on TopstepTV in a rotating segment, this is the form to fill out. So you will probably have to make some videos and the like. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. We had so many good questions. London crowd is getting very savvy, and
Yes.
they're asking some very intelligent questions. I'm very happy to see that. Thanks, Ray. Thanks,
Yep.
everybody. This has been the London session on Topstep TV. I'm Marcus Doherty. This is Coach Ray, and we will see you very soon. Take care.